What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope y'all have had a great weekend so far and a great Saturday. If you can tell, my setup is different now. Hopefully this is showing up on y'all's end in 1080p as opposed to 720p, which has been all my videos previous to this one. Hopefully you can see more of my face now, so if I got anything in my teeth, let me know. And now y'all can see the full view of where I make my videos now, so you can see a bed, and that's about it. So maybe you see a bag of pretzels back there near the box fan. So now y'all really get to see my room, and hopefully in the future I can actually have a legit setup with a nice background and everything. But this is part of the upgrade. This is part of making my stuff better. And now I have a new computer, so if I'm a little laggy here with going through the panels and stuff, and something happens that I'm not used to, I'm still getting used to this computer, but this should show up in better quality for you guys. So then there's a lot to talk about in this video. There's multiple severe weather chances coming up here in the coming days. There is frequent cold fronts. It's looking like we're going to have the potential for a really cold start to November, and it's looking like a really chilly Halloween. So we're going to break down everything for you guys. We're really going to focus on the first event tomorrow for a good chunk of Missouri, Arkansas, and areas surrounding Missouri. We're going to do a little bit more detail on the severe weather event in the Mid-Atlantic, including North Carolina and places around North Carolina. And we're going to briefly mention the severe weather chances going on to next week for the Deep South, because there is some areas of interest there. And then in the middle of everything, we're going to mention the potential for a big-time cool downs. We're going to have frequent cold fronts. We're in some very nice air right now. If you're living in the Carolinas and parts of Georgia, it'll warm up in the next couple of days, cool back down, potentially warm back up, and then really cool back down. So thank y'all for the amazing support. Hit the subscribe button, tag along. I will continue, just like I've promised you guys throughout the last year and a half, to continue to make my setup better for you guys as I can financially put more money into it. That's why there's a way for y'all guys to join to help help me have the ability to make this a lot better for you guys. So thank y'all for the amazing support. You guys got anything I can pray about, please put in the comments. Gives me an opportunity to pray for you guys, gives others an opportunity to do so too. So thank y'all. So and let's get going here. That's a big mouthful to start off 2.5 minutes in this video. So as you can tell, starting off here, this is for tomorrow. This is an enhanced risk. This is a level 3 out of 5. This is a big deal, folks, as level 3 out of 5 is pretty significant. What you have is you got a marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, and high risk. It goes from that to worse. So a big time area of Missouri under an enhanced risk, and that is including a large area of northern Arkansas, a very small area of far eastern Oklahoma, and an area of Illinois also. So this is the big deal. What's going on is you got a low level trough kind of setting up here. You're going to have a brief moist sector, and you're going to have enough of a low level jet here to pop out a significant tornado threat. Now, I know you see 10%, you're thinking, that's not very significant. That's a pretty big deal when the Storm Prediction Center is saying a 10% chance of a tornado of 25 miles at any given point in this yellow area. So that's a pretty significant deal. Big time 5% risk all around this, surrounding it. But it looks like as supercells explode before they very quickly go to a line of storms, which means the tornado threat will decrease throughout the afternoon and evening. Beforehand, we're going to have a significant tornado threat, and I really think sometime tomorrow afternoon. And as you can tell, the wind threat shifts a little bit more east because this will go linear into a line of storms. Hail threat is the most significant where those supercells form. So significant threat of severe weather. Now, we will fly through this really quick. Tomorrow, we will talk a little bit on this too. There's a slight risk, not tomorrow, but Monday. This is including the entire southern Alps, the Appalachian Mountains, northern Georgia, large portion of the upstate of South Carolina, and the entire central to western half of North Carolina, and about the same kind of situation for Virginia and most of the state of West Virginia, parts of Kentucky, and a very small area of Ohio. This could shift either way, but it's a day 3 still. So by the time we wake up in the morning, we'll have a little bit more of a breakdown as far as a tornado threat, hail threat, and damaging wind threat. But right now, 15% chance of severe weather of 25 miles at any given location. So Monday is looking like a very active day, as basically a reinforcing cold front moves ahead, a low-level jet swinging in from this angle would get going here, and I'll show you all that here in a second. As we get going through the day 4 and 5, this sets up another cold front, and as you can tell, go to day 4, could be a significant severe weather threat as we're getting into the Tuesday and Wednesday area, and then Wednesday into Thursday. Yep, the deep south can get in trouble here as we have a moist sector. A lot of these other kind of factors in place we need to still work on, because this is still a day. What is this? Day 5, day 6. This is day 5, so we still have quite a bit of days to figure out before we really know what's going on. But let's focus on you folks in Missouri, because this is going to be an active day for you guys. So as we get into Sunday, this is the 850 winds. So basically it shows a big time area, almost like a low level jet setting up here in the Missouri area. You have low level winds that are very screaming. You have a 40 to 50 knot jet here going across Missouri from the southwest. So there will be some change in direction in the upper atmospheres for sure with this going through here in time. What we can look at here is there's already moisture building into Missouri. So ahead of another cold front, which you see right here, and I hope this is showing up a little bit better for you folks than it was. I know it's bigger, but a little bit better for you folks. Every time I show weather models and I show the dew points, and these are dew points by the way, it always shows up pretty small, and it even looks small to me looking at it. But we get into Sunday. And check it out here. This is around Sunday, around 2 to 1 p.m. You have a moist sector riding all the way up to the Missouri-Iowa state line. That is creating a moist sector. So you got nice low-level moisture to add with some modest CAPE, which I'll show you in a second, before the dry air collapses over. And this is how this works. Normally you got a spike in dew points and moisture right before a clash in dew points. And that normally happens in the spring and fall. When you basically got the jet stream bouncing up and down. So we look at, as far as CAPE, we get into Sunday afternoon, look at the CAPE building to the 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilogram range, yeah, same thing, you know. But we really get to see the build and CAPE here going forward here. So there's some storm energy out there to mix with some low-level moisture, and I just showed you the 850 streamline. So wind energy, storm energy, and you have low-level moisture, so it's there. So let's go on and take a look at what the latest long-range HRRR model is showing for Missouri for tomorrow. We're getting into the morning hours. What I want to watch here is there will be some activity that moves through Missouri and surrounding areas in the morning hours. Does this kind of provide cloud cover? How much does the atmosphere recover into the afternoon hours? This happens a lot in severe weather systems, and sometimes it's a wild card for a severe weather situation not quite being as intense as forecast. But as we're getting into the morning hours, the atmosphere probably begins to recover, and we're getting into the afternoon hours. And here it goes. You know, and really you look at this and you're thinking, all right, well, here around Joplin points north between Joplin and Kansas City, you're thinking, okay, well, this doesn't really look that discrete. But what could be dangerous here is these lines that form. You see these little pink areas right here? Well, there could be little hooks in this little line of storms forming. And moving forward, this really turns into a line quick. But any of this could have a spin to it. It turns into a very intense line as it gets into eastern areas of Missouri and northern Arkansas, riding across the Ozarks, and a very active night overnight as it's riding into Illinois and getting into portions of even Kentucky as it begins to weaken and so forth. So we look at the significant tornado parameters and what kind of readings do we have. Well, we get into the afternoon hours and they begin to spike anywhere from 3 to 4 to a 5 STP value. So that's pretty significant, and that's not the craziest we've ever seen. But there's definitely a tornado threat, and you notice it spikes here along the moist sector, and then it dissipates very quickly as you have dry air. And you're not going to have any kind of tornado activity in dry air. I want to take a look at the soundings really quick. You have a little bit of a spin, a nice photograph with a nice little spin to it. Look at the hazard type, tornado. What you look here is you look at the low-level moisture. That's what this green is, the dew points. And it's in the 60s. You don't have no dew points in the 70s. When you have dew points in the 70s, that's when you can really get a nasty tornado outbreak. But you notice the change in direction and height. Winds coming out the south, and they flip to the southwest a little bit higher up into the 850s range, 700 millibar range. It turns more out the southwest, but more west-southwest, and then it goes out the west the higher you get. So there's a change in direction and height. That shear, directional shear, so you have a little bit of a spin in the atmosphere. So now that we've kind of looked at that, I'll try to get an update video for you guys in Missouri who are tuning in and see what the latest threat level, if we've updated to a moderate or anything like that. I don't really think we are. I think we're going to stay at an enhanced risk for you guys. But let's briefly talk about the Mid-Atlantic. We'll get more detailed on this when we get into tomorrow night for the next day, which would be Monday. But going forward here, you notice the energy from the severe weather outbreak in Missouri and surrounding areas starts to move through over the night. A broken line of storms moves through areas, as Arkansas all the way up into Indiana. And this gets going here and loses some steam, but you get into Monday afternoon, it begins to refire up again. And you're thinking you don't see nothing significant here, right? But some big-time surface heat and moisture will be riding up into the Carolinas, and anything that can form, and we'll get a closer look on this tomorrow for Monday, when we can really get past this event happening in Missouri. As we get into Monday afternoon, these lines of storms right here, these can be dangerous. There could be a little bit of a spin to them, and we'll have to watch this. We'll get a little bit deeper into this tomorrow when we know a lot more. But there could be some significant weather into the Carolinas, North Carolina, especially into Virginia. And we'll have to watch to see if any lone supercells can get out ahead of this main line of storms. This will be a nice, basically a nice low-level jet. A strong low-level jet with some pretty decent deep-level shears going to set up here, directional shear. So there's going to be a little bit of a tornado threat. I definitely think at least a 5% chance hatch will get hatched somewhere into here. So we're looking at dew points here, and what's going on is you see the spike in dew points here in Arkansas, then you see the clash, and then you see the rise in dew points ahead of this system Monday. Dew points rising all the way into the 60s into Virginia. So there's good, nice low-level moisture for the severe weather event into the Carolinas. And then check out this big trough dig here. So as far as the cold weather is concerned, it looks like we're going to have a big-time multiple drops in dew points. I know you're thinking, why do you keep showing dew points? Dew points are an excellent way to really figure out what our air mass is. Lower dew points meaning sub 50 degrees, you got a really dry air mass. Anything higher than that, especially above 60 degrees, is a very moist atmosphere. So once you get below 50 degrees, you know you get a nice crisp fall or winter-like atmosphere with very dry air. So, a big punch of dry air moves through. Now, areas in Louisiana and Texas, this is really southeast oriented, so it's not going to affect you. Meanwhile, dry air really sits in the areas, and as we get into the middle to late part of the week, but briefly before what looks to potentially be the strongest cold front of the year, you have basically a moist sector, and this is a tight boundaried moist sector that kind of rides through the deep south. This is when we could have our severe weather in the deep south that people are asking about already. We got a lot to figure out about this one. One thing we know right now is there is going to be some kind of moist sector here, meaning dew points can be in the 60s and 70s in the deep south, the deep southern areas of Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. But in the northern areas of those same states could be dew points in the 40s and 50s. Tight air mass. So going forward here, sorry I'm running out of breath, guys. After that, we get rid of that. And then some of the coldest air of the season could move in just in time for Halloween. Look at the dates, October 31st. And some of basically the driest air of the season moves in, which means you have some of the driest air, which means you can have some of the coolest air. And then potentially getting into the first couple days of November, a big-time cool air mass moves through according to the long-range European, which is day 10, dew points in the 20s and 30s. And we'll see that. The 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, this is going to the 29th to the 2nd of November, calling for below average temperatures. Yes, you folks in Florida too, but basically the entire South, below average temperatures. In the Mid-Atlantic, near normal. 8 to 14 day range that goes from Halloween to November 6th. It's calling for below average temperatures. So we'll see how this goes, but it looks like it's going to get chilly after basically a couple spikes in temperatures day. Next week's going to be weird. Monday, tomorrow, and Monday and Tuesday could be very warm for some people. I'm talking about mid to upper 80s. But then after that, we start collapsing, and then we might spike back up in it, and then it might get really, really cold. So, as far as what the dew points look on this, we'll take a look at the GFS, and it shows the same thing as the European. You see that moist sector building here, and then a big-time collapse in dew points for Halloween. And, as far as what temperatures looks like, as far as the air mass, it looks like above average temperatures for the entire Mid-South, the big part of the Ohio Valley, portions of the Mid-Atlantic, the South. Obviously, the more warmer colors are above average temperatures. But look, as we get through in time, you have a nice air mass that moves in midweek. This will get us to around normal, so just below normal. And then potentially, and this is the GFS, potentially as we get into next weekend, Halloween, look at this, temperatures potentially around a day or two around Halloween, well below average. You can't even see the number here because it's so bright, but 10, 15 degrees below average maybe in areas of the South. We'll have to watch this. And then maybe a larger, cooler air mass, more of a widespread, polar-oriented, meaning this is air from the Arctic, comes through. European and the GFS shows this and brings in one of our most significant colder blasts of the season and sweeps through into the eastern U.S., and this brings well below average temperatures. But we got a long ways before we know exactly what's going to happen here. There's a lot to talk about over the next several days, so it's going to be active. Thank y'all for the amazing support. I'm going to go on and get off here. I'm going to watch my Gamecocks probably get their butts kicked against Texas A&M tonight. So wish me well. But thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a great rest of your weekend. And I'll be back with you guys in the morning. God bless.